Hi, I'm Bill Donohue, President of the Catholic League. I'd like to talk to you today about a very serious question, an issue that has emerged early in 2014. I'm talking here about a despicable article by a journalist for Creative Syndicate. It was published in U.S. News and World Report or the usnews.com. You can find it. A person whom I'd never heard of before, but it doesn't make any difference. She's a veteran. She's not some rookie. Her name is Jamie Stiehm. That's S-T-I-E-H-M. You can find more about this on our Catholic League website, and it'll be all the information you need. But I want to address this to you personally because of what's involved here. I've been doing this job for over 20 years. I know what they said about Catholics in the 19th century, the 20th century, and what's been going on in the 21st century. We get a lot of bashing going on. You know the familiar jokes, the Bill Maher's and the others. But you don't normally get something of this kind of visceral, vitriolic statement coming from the mainstream media, which brings back the 19th century. All of the invidious stereotypes about Catholics and the Catholic Church are here in one article. What's the jumping off point? Sonia Sotomayor, an appointee of President Obama, she sits on the Supreme Court. She was there for the lighting of the ball dropped in Times Square in New York City here this past New Year's. And she also, before she took part of the ceremonies, she put a stay on a case involving the Catholic Church. I'm talking specifically about the HHS mandate, the Health and Human Services mandate, as applied to the Little Sisters of the Poor. You already know about this. Basically, the argument is this: Health and Human Services, as a part of Obamacare, is trying to impose its will, its secular will, on the Catholic community, saying that you have to pay for abortion-inducing drugs, contraception and sterilization in your health care plans. And if you don't want to do that, then you have to at least have some carrier and sign a piece of paper which say it'll be paid by somebody else, which means you still have to pay for it. So this is going to be decided by the Supreme Court. We know about that. Now this person here, Jamie Stiehm, she gets off on this very strongly with an article titled "The Catholic Supreme Court War on Women." The Catholic Supreme Court War on Women. Well, it's true. We have 6 Catholics on the Supreme Court. We have 3 Jews on the Supreme Court. We've mostly had Protestants on the Supreme Court. Nobody's ever called it the Protestant court before, or the Jewish court, or the Catholic court. But now we have that. But that's the least of our worries. It's when you get into this article that it's really stunning. She's kind of wondering, is she just a good Catholic girl? That's what she says about Sonia Sotomayor. Is that why she's doing this? Because she's just a good Catholic girl? So Sotomayor, appointed by President Obama, is a Catholic who put her religion ahead of her jurisprudence. Well, how would she know that? How would she impugn, why would she impugn the character of Sonia Sotomayor, that she's a lackey for the church, has no independent mind? She just does exactly, I suppose Pope Francis got on the phone and called her up and said, listen, before you drop the ball in Times Square, you got to make sure that you don't stick it to Catholics. You got to have a stay on this HHS mandate. This gal here seems to know about that because she said she put her religion ahead of her jurisprudence. And then we get the snarky statement, what a surprise. But that is no small thing. In other words, that's what Catholics do. If you think I'm reading into it, consider this. Sotomayor's blow brings us to confront an uncomfortable reality. More than WASP, Methodists, Jews, Quakers, or Baptists, Catholics often impose their beliefs on you. She doesn't cite a single example of where Catholics impose their beliefs on anyone. She left Muslims out. I guess that was just a kind of an afterthought. But we're busy imposing our beliefs. This is exactly right out of the 19th century. They're imposing their beliefs on you, me, that's right, personalize it, Jamie, public discourse and institutions. Well, there's one way the Catholics don't have to impose their views on anybody in public discourse is simply to silence them. If they're silenced, then they can't impose their views on anybody. She doesn't give us any examples, but let's just assume that she's right. Especially if you're female. Okay, the victim card. This is not true of all Catholics. Just look at House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi. That's right. She found a pro-abortion Catholic who likes the idea of same-sex marriage, who's in open violation of the tenets of the Catholic Church's teachings on an array of moral issues. That's her hero. So she found the Catholic who's in opposition to the Catholic Church's teachings as her hero. But Sonia Sotomayor, even though she's liberal, even though she's appointed by President Obama, she's no longer to be trusted. And guess what she's done? She is sold out on sisterhood. That's right. Sisterhood is not as powerful as we used to think, ladies. That's exactly what she says. So she's supposed to vote as a feminist. Okay, now, can't vote as a Catholic, which I don't want people to vote as a Catholic either, by the way. I want people to make their jurisprudence based on a correct interpretation of the Constitution, not on the basis of their religion or ethnicity or their ideology, including feminism. But that's of no interest to her. Catholics in high places of power have the most trouble, I've noticed, practicing the separation of church and state. There we have it. Catholics in elite positions cannot be faithful to the Constitution of the United States of America. They're always seeking to have the Vatican wrap their arms around you and squeeze you and tell you to do exactly what she wants. Because, she says, I've noticed that. The pugnacious Catholic justice, not just a justice, a Catholic justice, Antonin Scalia, is the most aggressive offender. He's not just simply the most aggressive, he's the most aggressive offender on the court. He's not the only one. Of course, we can't know for sure what Sotomayor was thinking, but she pretty much knows what she was. It seems as though she's joined the ranks of the 5 Republican Catholic men on the John Roberts Court in showing a clear religious bias when it comes to women's rights and liberties. We can no longer be silent about this. Get the point, people? Set off the alarms. The Catholics are coming. The Catholics are coming. They're going to take over. They're in charge. They're going to shove their beliefs down your throats. They cannot be trusted to be good Americans. This is right out of the vintage 19th century anti-Catholic stereotypes. And then she said she brings in Jefferson. Jefferson was concerned about Vatican hegemony. This seemingly innocent little sisters of the poor were likely not acting alone. They're the ones who are party to this dispute over the HHS mandate. They're big brothers, the meddlesome American Roman Catholic Archdiocese. Again, the Klan said this. You know, the Klan was not just against blacks. They were against Jews and against Catholics. And what they were saying is that the Catholics couldn't be trusted. Their loyalty was to the Vatican. Just as anti-Semites today say that the loyalty of Jews is to Israel, we are still, here we are now in the 21st century. And here we have it again, a person writing for U.S. News and World Report. Creative Syndicate is the actual employment venue for this person. And she's saying that we can't be trusted because of what's going on with the HHS mandate. The big brothers, the meddlesome American Roman Catholic Archdiocese, are bound to be involved. Rabbis are never meddlesome. Imams are never meddlesome. Ministers, particularly black ministers, even though they tell people whom to vote for in church, they're never meddlesome. It's just the meddlesome Roman Catholic Archdiocese. They seek and wield tremendous power and influence in the political sphere. So we have to tame them too. Then we get the Rock of Rome refuses on women's reproductive rights to budge. The Rock of Rome refuses to budge on women's reproductive rights. And the Supreme Court is getting good and ready to strike down Roe v. Wade. Oh, my God. Next week, you're going to ban abortions in the Supreme Court? I didn't even know that they had accepted such a case, but she would know. Look, people, anybody is free to criticize the Catholic Church when it comes to public policy issues who's not a Catholic. I have no problem with that. Internal church matters? That's for Catholics to decide. This is a public policy issue, the question of abortion and making people pay for it, abortion-inducing drugs and the HHS mandate. She is free to say the Catholic Church is wrong. I disagree. I think that's a too narrow or too broad interpretation of the mandate. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with this. This should be sent to every person who runs any kind of college or university program in journalism. We are sending it to many of them today. We're looking at the Princeton Review, the U.S. News and World Report college rankings, sending it out to the communications department. We're sending it out to the journalistic departments. We wanted to get into the hands of the diversity specialists. If you're a multicultural agent on a college campus, certainly you need to know about this. Catholics need to know about this. We're sending it out to different legal groups. Latinos should be very interested to know that she has stepped out of line. This Catholic, she's taking her orders from Pope Francis. Don't trust him. Guess where he's from? He's from South America as well. This is going to go over big, not only with Latinos, but with all Catholics. This kind of invidious stereotyping we would have thought would have ended. I thought when I read this, when I looked at the title of the article, The Catholic Supreme Court's War on Women, I might get one or two objectionable statements. It's top to bottom. Don't take my word for it, people. Read about it. More importantly, click on where it says contact. We have a contact email. All you got to do is let the people know over at Creative Syndicate, who employs this woman, that they ought to drop her. They would never put up with this kind of bashing, this stereotype that the Jews are trying to impose their view, or the Muslims, or the blacks, or the gays, or somebody else. It shouldn't happen with Catholics either. Please follow through. Check it out on our website. Thank you for your time and interest in this matter.